Alrighty, good morning everyone. Here we are with Elums. He said he'd be putting this video up, so I'm doing it for him, not for me, but necessarily. But this is a 2005 CBR600RR thingy. Verify the year, 2005. Okay. Since he takes bikes that are of questionable quality and resells them after rebuilding and doing a lot of things to them, he got this one and it wouldn't start when he got it. So he changed the fuel pump. It still wouldn't start. So he brought it to me to find out what's going on with it because his diagnostics are rather limited. He also brought it to me because he wanted the fork seals changed, so I'll be doing that as well on this bike. First thing you notice is this thing has been laid down. It doesn't look like a massive impact, possibly a little bending of the bracket here, but right here is your crankshaft sensor where I'm pointing. Right there, okay? So an impact here could affect the crankshaft sensor, which could make the fuel injectors and the ignition not work. But the first thing we're going to do is we'll trace down the things that need to be chased down and verify some things before we start getting really deep into this. The first thing is, does the crank over and does the fuel pump prime? So I'll lay my microphone on the tank and we'll turn on ignition to see if it primes. And yes, it primes. I'll do it again just to make sure. Okay, it primes. And now, hang on, let me put this thing back on my collar. There, all right. Everybody uses DJI Osmo. I like seeing that. Okay, so I have the clutch held in. It is in neutral. And so I just make sure the switch is on and I can hit it. And nothing. All right. So before we go too crazy here, let's find out, since I can't really do a fuel injection pressure test without taking a bunch of stuff apart, let's first verify that we have injectors running, and if we have injectors running, we probably have ignition as well. A little prop rod here, which is actually a 2x4. You'll notice before I get that up that there was no pivot bolts, no rear tank bolts on this. So I put a rod through there with a couple of nuts to hold in place so it didn't flop around, and rubber hosing on it so it didn't scratch anything, and insulated from the battery just in case I made accidental contact. That's to hold the back of the tank. So now I just insert my little prop rod right here, like that. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Now I have the tank up where it's out of my way and I can get to things. These are your primary fuel injectors up here. When you check for injector pulses, you don't check your secondaries because they're not going to even run it at startup or idle. You check your primaries, which are down here. This one, etc. This is a logic probe. It has circuitry inside, you can see that. And when it hits the ground, it turns green. And when it hits hot, it turns red. So you'll have an indication of whether it's positive or ground. What I'm going to do, and I hope I can set the camera up for this. Just stretch this out. I think I can. Yes, I can. Good. I'm going to back probe the injectors, the bottom injectors, primaries, and see if first I get power, and then if I get a signal that it's actually trying to fire the injectors. So I'm going to back probe number 3 here because it's a little easier to reach. And let me get a flashlight. Get a flashlight so I can see what I'm doing. Flashlight. All right. We have a flashlight. Now, this is the injector, and what I'm doing is a back probe right here on this connector. Push the fuel line out of the way. This is called back probing because you're basically probing the back of the pin. You see that the light is red. That means I have power. I check continuity by going to the other side. Make sure I have power on that side as well, which means the injectors is, see it's red? Okay. Get a little bit where you see it. Now, I've already verified that the black and white wire is your power wire, and the signal wire that's going to be grounded whenever it cranks over to fire the injector is on the other one, on the brown and green one. So when I crank this over, if I'm getting an injector pulse, I should get a flashing light here, because it would constantly try to ground to fire the injection. Let's see what happens. See those little bitty green flashes? Little bitty green flashes means that the ECU is working, that I have a good crank sensor, that I have a good cam sensor. Because this would not fire at all unless both sensors were working and the ECU was working. So it's trying to supply fuel to the engine by signaling the injection to fire. So we know we have good injectors. We probably have good ignition because it runs off the same fuse. And if the computer or ECU wasn't happy, it would not fire the injectors at all. So we're going to presume for the moment that the ignition is working properly, which means we have to verify fuel pressure. Well, the quick and dirty way to do this is right here. Let me get this so you can see. Yeah, right here. Secondary injector rail. This is your primary injector rail right here. Fuel comes from the tank here, goes to here, and is siphoned off up to this one. So this should have the same pressure as this down here. What I'm going to do, I'll get a towel to put underneath this while I'm doing it, is pull loose the injector line and see if I have residual fuel pressure. Now, I should have residual fuel pressure of approximately 20 to 25 pounds here, because this fuel is not allowed to backflow to the tank. There's a one-way valve inside the tank and in the regulator, so the fuel can't go backwards. It can go through the injectors, but obviously it's not because it's not running. So what I'll do is I will crack this loose. That. And you don't need to take these off fast. You don't have to be all animalistic with it. You just pull them loose. Those are 6mm with an 8mm head. Now, everybody say, oh, that's an 8mm bolt. No, it's a 6mm bolt with an 8mm head. It uses an 8mm socket. Should be a little more precise. I see people saying, oh, it has a 10mm bolt. No, it has a 6mm bolt with a 10mm head. All right, so I had those loose. The fact this hasn't blown off at all tells me I probably don't have much fuel pressure there. So let's ease this off very carefully. Have my glasses on to make sure I don't get shot in the face. And no fuel came out at all. Nothing. Which means we probably have a fuel delivery problem from the tank. I'll turn this key off, and then I will turn it on to see if I get any big shot of fuel here. That is not enough fuel. This should just go shooting across here at about 40 psi, should halfway across the shop. So it's not giving me enough fuel pressure. So we now know we have a fuel starvation issue. I'll put that back on real quick. And these don't get tightened really tight. These are 6mm bolts, which means that they take approximately 8 foot-pounds of torque, which is nothing. It's literally about that tight. So we get them started, and we run them in by hand. We do not use an impact on this ever. You'll just strip something out. There it is. Tighten one. Tighten the other one and go about that much. Just a little bit more. That's more than tight enough. The O-rings inside here will seat it so it doesn't flow fuel. Doesn't leak anything. All right, so we know we have that problem. What we're gonna do is open the top here, and we're gonna siphon the tank dry. Why do we siphon the tank dry? Because if this bolt right here is removed, you're gonna have a lot of fuel trying to flow out if there's any one-way valve or regulator problems inside the sending unit. So or the fuel pump unit. So you pull this off with the tank empty. Empty. Now people say, you're going to siphon it? Yes, I'm going to siphon it. Pull out my little tube. This is just cheap silicone tube. You run it down till it goes all the way into the bottom of the tank as far as it'll go. All right, that's about as far enough. Now, all you need to do is have the receiving receptacle lower than here, and it will siphon the tank completely dry. People say, but you're going to pull down vacuum on that with your mouth. Yes, I am, but I'm going to watch the fuel come past here. Gets about there, I pinch the line. And when that fills up, the tank will be empty and I'll be able to get back to work. And so I'll put a little pause on this and we will be back. All right, so while the tank is emptying itself, we are going to go onto my computer and I'm going to show you some things. Now you notice over on this side of the screen, I have a bunch of PDFs. These are all downloaded manuals for all the motorcycles I've worked on. Ducatis, Suzuki's, Kawasaki's, Hondas, the occasional Yamaha. Okay? So these references have schematics and actual physical pictures of what you work on. This one right here I downloaded yesterday, 0306 CBR600. I don't know if you can read that. I'm not going to zoom it in because I'm going to get a big picture here in a minute. But you go on a place called Scribd, S-C-R-I-B-D, like this. This is Partzilla, which will show you all your diagrams, Partzilla. So you go to Partzilla and a lot of your items can be looked at with complete parts diagrams and things like that. This is the fuel pump assembly on the CBR1000. I was looking at this because the fuel pump on the CBR600 apparently has a level indicator, but I don't see one in the diagram for the CBR600. I'll show you that here right now. This one, okay? And then we'll go to fuel tank, and it gives you a breakdown of the fuel tank. And there's the fuel tank. Here's the pump right here. Your fuel filter, one-way valve, and some other ancillary things that are inside here. There is no fuel level sending unit. No fuel level sending unit anywhere in it. I was looking all around for one, but I don't see one. I'm wondering where it is in these diagrams, but I'm not going to worry about it. But just want to make sure that I had the right unit, which I do have. So moving on from there, we'll go to Scribd, and I'll show you how you do this. Type in Scribd, S-C-R-I-B-D, and you go to Home, to the World's Documents. Click on that. That logs in. There you go. Now, up in the search bar, I'm going to type 2005 Honda CBR600 Technical Manual or Repair Manual. Workshop Manual PDF. There it is right there, 144, 3 pages. These are 3 pages. You want something a little bit longer. Okay, the F3 is your 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, all of them really. But you want this one when it comes up there, it is right there. CBR600RR 2003, 2006 manual. So you click on it, and then it gives you the opportunity to download it. Now, I have an account with Scribe. It's something like $12.95 a month, but I download so much from it, it's worth it because the cost of the manuals is very high. So now you know how to get there and check your manuals and check your technical stuff. And the reason I got this is for things like the argument we just had. Let me pull up this PDF. All right, there's the Honda PDF. And I'll enlarge it. Oh, go away. Leave me alone. I get the basic one here because I can manually do all this stuff and I'm not really doing myself. What I'm going to do is go down to the wiring diagrams right here, section 21, and we're going to look at the schematic for the CBR600. And there's a reason we're going to do this. They have a something called a rollover sensor or a lay down sensor on some bikes that turns off your fuel, your ignition, things like that, keep the engine from running while you are while the bike's laying on the side. Now you see here the fuel. There's the sending unit that I couldn't see in the diagrams on Partzilla, but it's right here. Okay, so it is there. But we're going to go down to section 21 here, and there's the schematics. Now, the bank angle sensor, as it's called by Honda, the BAS, would be up in this area of the bike. This is your ECU. These are your sensors on the engine, crank sensor, cam sensor, things like that, your tail lights, your headlights, etc. These are your 8 injectors. These are your 8 injectors. These are your 8 coils. Okay, so, or your 4 coils, I should say. And then you have your fuel pump relay here, your engine relay there, and your fan control relay here. So what you're looking for is a bank angle sensor with 3 wires. You have a power, ground, and then a signal. It will tell the ECU that, hey, it's laying on its side and you need to shut everything off, and it will turn everything off. If you look all through this schematic, you will not see a bank angle sensor anywhere. Got your clutch switch, horn, purge solenoid, throttle position sensor, intake air temperature sensor, map sensor, etc., etc. All these sensors, but you do not see a bank angle sensor. So this bike does not have a bank angle sensor that will disable the ignition or the fuel injection to shut the engine off if the bike is laid on its side. Why am I telling everybody this? Because the customer, in this case the person who had me, has already put a fuel pump in it, swore up and down that it had a bank angle sensor. I told him, no, it does not. It should be up under the cowl by the gauges. No, it's not. He kept arguing with me, so I told him, you can come over here and point it out to me, and if you can't do that, you will give me $100 for arguing with me. I'm not the kind of person who likes to be argued with because A, I'm old, B, I'm very good at what I do, and C, I'm very highly certified and capable. He brings me all the stuff to fix, and if he's not going to listen to me, why should I fix it, right? So, this does not have a bank angle sensor. It doesn't have a rollover sensor. It doesn't have a tip over sensor. It doesn't get shut. The engine does not get shut off or blocked by the computer turning things off because the bike is laying on its side. And we also know this because we have a fuel injection pulse and it is priming the tank. So there's no problem with the bank angle sensor, etc. And we will move on. Tank should be emptied. Let's go out and look at that. Okay, we're outside with a fresh cup of coffee. And as you can see, the fuel line is empty. So there is no more fuel that the siphoning system can get out of here for me. It's run into bubbles. So we'll just get this out of the way, set it off to the side. Put both ends of the hose in the bottle because you don't want to accidentally siphon the wrong way. Get out of the way too. Yeah, okay, now, time to pull the tank. Get my coffee off my chair. I'll leave it over there. Time to get comfortable. can tell it's a very low buck thing I do here, but I have pavers covering the entire area. It used to be gravel. About 6 months ago it was gravel. I broke down and did that. And then somebody gave me a bunch of decking boards, so I made this long deck for the bikes to be on out of wood. And why wood? Because this and other things can be bolted down, screwed right down to it with wood screws. And I just pull them out, and if anything gets broken or damaged, I just replace sections of it. I don't have to worry about concrete getting stained. I don't have to worry about things getting broken. So that's all done. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the tank. 3-pin connector here. Push down and pull. Off it comes. That's the fuel line. Vent line from the top of the tank, where if it overflows at the fuel filler, it will go somewhere else besides all over your bike. Get this off. This end's a little bit damaged on this. I'm not worried about that. This is another one-way breather valve. Okay, so this is a Allen. I believe it's a 5mm. Let's have a look. Or 6. And what did I do with my ratchet? Ah, there it is. Ratchet. All right. This is a metric .8 or 5/16. Either one works. Handy dandy. I like this. You can angle it out of your way. Now what I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to do is just crack it loose and have my towel ready, because I know it's going to drain some gas from the line at least. Aha. You see that? Now, that is not from the line. That's from the fuel pump. That's the fuel that's in the fuel pump just draining past. It shouldn't be doing that. So what we have here, apparently, now the fuel pump has emptied itself. If I did this with a full tank of gas, it would probably be pouring out gasoline right now, just draining itself. This tells me I have a problem with the fuel pressure regulator or the one-way valve inside the fuel pump. We'll get this off. Do not lose the O-rings on this, because first, they're very hard to find, and secondly, they're not the standard 10 or 12 millimeters used on bikes. They're larger sizes, they're 14. Which means that you have to go find one. Right. Very carefully remove this and that. That's definitely a 14 millimeter. So we'll set this up here on top of the ECU, out of the way of everything. And now I'm ready to pull the tank completely off the vehicle. I'll get back to you when I get on the ground. Alrighty, we have the fuel tank out. It's turned up this way. There's a little fuel left inside the tank. I don't want it to go against where the fuel filler is, so I have it laid up like this so the fuel drains to the front of the tank. The fuel filler neck is not filled up, leveled with gas, and all the gas is away from this. Now this is a dual speed DeWalt 20 volt brushless. Now you can see this thing's had better days. I've had it for 5 years, and yeah, it needs to be cleaned, but then it just gets dirty again, so I just leave it alone. It's also very sticky like this. It means you can hold on to it. I have it on low speed, and I just lock the torque down, because what we do is just bust these screws loose, these nuts loose, if they are not tight. That first one wasn't exactly tight. Why, I don't know. I haven't been in here before. So I would presume that when the person who had this bike and wants me to fix it, put it together, they didn't quite get them tight. I see that a lot. I see them both over-tightened and then not tightened enough, which is what happens here. That's why they make these things called torque wrenches. Right. So those are 6mm studs with 10mm head nuts. Now we'll pull this out very carefully. Disturb anything. Everything looks okay. Sending it out there. It does have a sending in it. All right, so I will get the pump off of this and have a look at things very quickly and see if we can determine why this right here. Let me get this gasket off so we can look at things. All right, this is your fuel coming from your pump. I'm betting, since he put this pump in, I'm betting that with a full tank of gas, fuel's going to flow past this because there's a bad O-ring right here. And it will just come up and go past the O-ring and in. It's either that or a pressure regulator or something like that having a problem. So, and you see the grunge in here? Yeah, that tank needs to be cleaned out. It's full of rust. So let me get that off very quickly. Pull the fuel pump off and we'll have a look. I'll be right back. Okay, it's time for a little dissection here. I figured you might want to see how this comes apart and what you're actually looking for when you're pulling these things apart. The first thing we're going to do is get all the screws and nuts loose. We use the ground for the pump. And I do have a tray because you don't want to lose this stuff. All right, so this goes here. Turn it over. There's one on the other side as well. These hold the pump to the framing. No power tools here, all by hand. All right. They have another small one here that holds this tube. I think the tube just slides out. Yes, slides out, good. And then I believe these are 7mm nuts. Let's make sure. Yes, they're 7mm. Everything goes back where it came from, and you have to be all nice and neat and tidy. So, red one goes here. One of these is for the pump. The other one is for the sending unit, because they are all grounded to the chassis. Spider wash are off. Okay, good. Now we'll do the other one. Not in a hurry here. No sense in being in a hurry. A lot of people screw things up by being in a big hurry and using impacts and get ahead of themselves or don't stay organized. You're doing things like this, you have to stay organized. Now you notice that both of these have the spider washer on the underside of the electrical connector, and that is because this is the main connector going through to the wire on the other side, and that's where you want your best bite and your best contact. So those go there. Now this should, in theory, this off, don't lose it. This one too, because I don't want to lose it. There. In theory, this should just all come apart, starting here, without much effort. There it is. All right. Now, this should have an O-ring. I'm not seeing one in there. I'll get my little flashlight and I'll show you what it looks like inside there. There. If you can look inside the hole, I don't know how well you can see this. The hole has no lips or other things, no O-rings sitting inside of it. It's just a straight flush hole all the way in. there should be an O-ring on this that slides into this hole and seals the pump and its pressure and the fuel inside the tank from going through that tube until they're supposed to. If the O-ring's not there, when the pump pumps, it will just blast out everywhere here. And when the pump is off, all the fuel in the tank will come up past this, through here, and out and just drain like crazy. So that's what we have. It was put back together without a O-ring. I will let him know. I will see if I can find one that fits, and we will go from there. Oh, wait a minute, wait, look at this. Look at this. You know what this is? That's the O-ring. Did not come out of here. It came out of somewhere, but it can't come out of here and should never come off of here. That's the O-ring. Is that the O-ring is the question. Is that the proper O-ring? Well, I don't know. Like this, its diameter is larger than the housing. Let me slide this in here and see what happens. See how much interference we actually have. Is that? All right, it is large, but I don't think it's overly large. So let me try some lubrication on it. See if I can get the slide back together. It should never, ever come off of there, though. Lubrication. Let me see, a little grease. It may have stuck in the housing, and then he did not know it was supposed to be there and just put it back together without it, which is an understandable mistake. But it's definitely not where it should be right now. So a little grease to make it slide together more easily. And I'll see if I can get this thing back together properly. Then we'll do a full system check and see if I'm actually smarter than the fuel pump. All right. I don't think that's the right O-ring. It was deformed before. I think there's supposed to be a smaller O-ring in here. There might have been one in the kit he used. It may go, it may not. You see how it's bending up above the lip here? If this folds down over here, it will never seal. So let me see if I can wiggle that and push it in place with a screwdriver. If I can feed this in, I'll have a good seal, I know that. You go around the edges and you get the lip down in there. Once it slides in, it'll all just keep sliding. It'll be compressed. Okay, I think I got it. Yep, slid in. It's all slid together now, good. So we will put this back together and hopefully that will solve the problem. This is why I get paid the big bucks. But if it doesn't seal, if we have a tank leakage problem again, then we're going to wind up taking this all back apart and putting another O-ring in there. This is the proper size. Yeah. And this is the, what I'm putting right now is the overflow for the pressure regulator. Just pushes back into the tank like that. All right, let's get these in place and get everything tight, and then we will see what happens. I'll be back when I get this all put together. Okay, we're finishing up the reassembly here. Screw these in by hand and then snug them down, not stupidly tight, just snug. They're 5mm. And we have the spider washer on the bottom, the electrical connector, lock washer, and nut on both. Screws are in place here and here. Have no extra parts except for the gasket. Put this over here, down here. And that will be held in place by all the little retaining lugs. By the way, it's 8 o'clock in the morning now, and it's already getting humid. We've had a lot of rain come through here lately. We push these through, and there we are. All right, now the first thing we're going to do when we put this in, after I get it in, we're going to put a gallon of gas in the tank and see if anything leaks out of the fuel pump hole. If not, then I'll hook it up onto the bike and see if it starts, and we will come back when that happens. We get the tank, or we said we get the key, and we will put some gas in the tank and see if the fuel pump unit leaks. Only a gallon's all is needed. I should be able to pour this in without too much effort. Not too much spillage either. There. That was almost 2 gallons of gas, which means the fuel pump unit is totally submerged now, but it's not leaking. Which I'm very happy about. Okay, no leakage from the outlet, which is right, hang on, find it. There it is right there. No leakage from the outlet. That's what we're hoping for. No leakage from the outlet under there, see that? It's all dry. So I'll put this back on the bike and we'll see if it runs. All right, the tank is on. It's all tightened down. This is the cold start. I haven't even cranked anything over to check anything, check for leaks yet. Got a prime. Not seeing a gallon of gas laying down. Let's see if it starts. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. One O-ring was the entire problem with this. It'll have to clear its throat to get the air out of the lines for the moment. Right now. Everything okay. That burble, oh, it may go away when it warms up. I don't know. We're going at this one cold. We don't know. But it runs, and that's all I care about right now. So that's fixed. Now I can go on and start doing the shocks. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will be editing out some bad parts and pauses. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.